There's so much evidence that goes into these O1 cases. How do you manage that? Do you have any particular format, or just have folders like a Dropbox folder? Because I know Ron's a tech guy. How do you manage the information flow, getting documents? Some people use Pipefile or something like that, a file line. There's different programs. Do you guys use anything in particular?
We do. I mean, we use Box as our, I'd say, main tool for that. We also use AI Law, and yeah, I mean, especially for O's, it's just this like evidence-based visa, right? So it's hard to have a no with less than 200, 300 pages. Usually they're way more. And yeah, those, I would say those are main tools. Ron, if you want to comment on our process there. But
yeah, maybe I'll break it down a little bit deeper, just because it's not necessarily the specific tool we use, but what we use it for that I think would be more helpful to people to think through. On the one hand, it's like you need to have a place that's easy for your client to provide you with the documentation. So we use a combination of Box, which is just a document storage system. We invite the client to a folder where they can upload documents. That's one way. Arthur mentioned that we use AI Law. They have, some people know it as Nutranet. It's an immigration case management system. And what's cool about that is like it's one of these systems where we can actually have lists of documents, and then the person loads the document to the right place. That program is really neat because it can actually compile the documents into one place. But I would say still for O's and EB1s, a lot of what we use for compiling is Adobe Professional, because it's just, no matter what system you have, like you're not going to get it right in one shot. You're going to have to collect some information, review it, request more. It's very iterative. So we still haven't, for these types of visas, I think there's a long way to go in terms of what technology can do, but you definitely want to have a space where you can collaborate with the client. That's like number one. There needs to be some place where you're not, and within your own team, like you don't want to have like version 1 Ron, version 2 Arthur, version 3 Ron 2. It's like that stuff gets really confusing. So with I think Box Professional Plus, Business, whatever they name it, something, it has integration with Microsoft Office and probably Google Drive as well, where when you open up, for example, the support letter through Box, you make the edits and you save it, it keeps track of the versions. And so yeah, so that's how we collaborate internally, so that again, we're avoiding this situation of like naming 10 different documents of the same thing. You get confused. It allows us to go back if we accidentally change something we didn't mean to. So
that's really interesting. One thing that it's pretty simple, but Dropbox and Box are different things. I'm surprised they didn't sue each other for the name, but it took me a while to realize that when people say
totally
Box,
agree.
Box,
yeah.
I use Dropbox, but it's fascinating that they have that naming convention or update convention. That comes really handy.
Yeah. The other thing that we do that I would say everybody needs to figure out how to do is we don't print anything until the very end. So it's all getting compiled into Adobe PDF, and then once everything's ready, then that's when we finally click print, and that's it. Like you don't have to rearrange things at that point.
Very. So do you guys paginate every page? Do you go through that?
So we're not there
yet.
Yeah, well, we've tested it through Adobe Pro, but what's tricky is I think that there's a psychological element for both the law firm and the client, because there's always this, like, once they give you the last thing, it's like they want you to file, we want to get it filed and out of, off our desk. And so it's when you have to do the pagination, like for example, the way that Adobe does it, it's like you better be finished with that document before you create those page numbers, because otherwise you're lost afterward. So we're trying to figure out how to do that, because I think the other main point that I would say about these applications, but the same could apply for, almost any type of document heavy application. Is I always remember, I think it was Leslie Holman. I don't know if you know her. She's been in ALA a long time. She's in Vermont. And she made this comment at some ALA conference a while ago that they toured the Vermont Service Center, and they were told that adjudicators are only allotted something like 13 minutes to review each O. And whatever it is, like whether it's 13 or 30, they have a short amount of time.